Okay, welcome everybody to today's event. I think we'll wait like another 30 seconds. Please, the speakers, you can mute maybe your microphones now for when you're not speaking, and then we'll remind each other to unmute ourselves. Today we are gonna follow up on our discussion which we started in our latest edition of the Baltic Business Quarterly, and the title is a question: bubble or boom? Of course, it's a bit simple question, and but we will use it as an entry point of view, and I will maybe start the round and just ask our experts what they think: bubble or boom, yes or no, or bubble because, and with one sentence. We'll start with the most northern part. Tönju, very short, like bubble or boom, what do you think?
Hello, welcome from Estonia, from Tallinn. My field of expertise is residential market, Estonian residential market, and one word answer is boom. Yes, but it's too simple answer. It's slowly slowing down, and no big problems on the market.
Andreas, what do you think? And maybe also introduce yourself with one sentence.
Hello to everyone. I'm a CEO of Capitalica Asset Management, which is developing office building Verde in Riga right now. It's a pretty sizable green office project. In terms of markets, real estate markets, I think there are these three countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, are a bit different, and probably in the different cycle. Probably Latvia is behind Lithuania and Latvia, and talking about real estate, I think it is nicely growing, or will be growing in the future, especially in the Latvia. In terms of residential area, I would say that Estonia and Lithuania are probably somewhere close to the top of the boom. I would say something like that. But from commercial real estate side, I think there are more logic here in this segment.
Thank you. Very very nice intro, and I will catch up on some of the points you made, but we go on to Roman. What do you think?
Hello. Yes, I'm Roman and credit analyst in the Luminor Bank. My opinion about the boom or not is that one thing, if we are looking at statistics, we are not in the boom, in my view. But if we are looking positive approach of our clients and banking sector overall, we are in the boom. Yes.
Okay, so it depends on the perspective.
Exactly.
Dennis, what is your take on that?
Yeah, hi, my name is Dennis Kerans. I'm head of Colliers activities in Latvia, but I'm partner in Baltic Business as well. So we do mostly commercial real estate, and what I can say, it's definitely not a bubble so far, so I couldn't find arguments why it is so. And talking about Latvia, it's clearly was underdeveloped market for last 10 years. And yes, now we have maybe some activity and quite a lot of square meters under construction. But it's not a boom yet. So I do believe there is still a lot of space in the market for both commercial and residential development.
Thanks a lot. I think that's great entry statements. And I also welcome our audience. We have got 58 participants, 70 about had registered. Maybe some will join us later. I think they're mainly also experts from the industry. And as you understood, we have here 4 experts from very different angles, yeah, from the finance sector, from the property project development side. Andrews, Tönju as an independent expert who has been working in Estonia for a long time also. And last but not least, one of the international agents here offering services to the industry, Dennis with Colliers. And I think I'm looking forward to the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes discussion with you. And I also encourage our audience to ask questions. It can be either in the chat, or if you want to make it by person, then yeah, raise your hand. But then be also short, introduce yourself and have a very short question. Don't make like a separate talk. Yeah, I want to come back to the facts. Yeah, and we have, I don't know if you can see very well here our infographic, but if I just take one indicator, and that's the average apartment price per square meter, yeah, in 2021 in the Baltic capitals, yeah, in Riga it's 1,280. In Tallinn, almost double, 2,270, and Vilnius with 1,830, kind of in the middle. And I think that explains 2 things. First, there is no Baltics. There's 3 markets who have different, not only legislative frameworks, but also economic factors going, and hence I thought your answer is also on the spot, that they are different also in the life cycle, if you want to say so. Yeah, I want to start maybe with Dennis and go a bit deeper. Why is Latvia behind? And I see you have a map of Riga, I think, behind you. Or am I wrong? And you mentioned it. What did Latvia not do what the other 2 did? And what should Latvia now therefore do, if you have some ideas?
Sure. Now, first of all, yes, this is map of Riga. This material helps us to work quite efficient, especially when we have new clients, investors coming. It's quite easy to show how the city is divided. But while Latvia is lagging behind, I do believe there are a lot of reasons. And then let's start from the last crisis, 2008. It was like it hit Latvia the hardest among the all Baltic countries. Then I would say mentality of people as well. We are always more cautious here in Latvia, and maybe that was the reason why local developers maybe didn't risk a lot and didn't construct new space so actively how it happened in Estonia and Lithuania. Even now, if you see what's happening at this moment, there is quite a lot of new construction, like unlike commercial space. If you calculate, it's approximately like 300,000 square meters under construction. But who is doing it? Basically, Latvia is like a battlefield between Estonian and Lithuanian developers. Like, I don't know, maybe 10-15% of local money is at this moment is in those development projects. Most of this money is coming from Estonia and Lithuania. And if Estonians maybe are more responsible on residential development at this moment in our country, then Lithuanians, they're controlling now office development market. So it's difficult to say only one reason why it's so, but of course, as a Latvian, I don't like the situation, and I would like to see the same type of activity in Latvia as it is at this moment in Lithuania and Estonia.
And what are if you had to put up a 3-point action plan to turn the situation around or to improve it, what would you recommend?
Depending on the segment, again, switching to commercial real estate, like now we have a lot of office construction, but then the good question is who will be the tenants, where from we will take all those companies who will occupy all the space. And definitely there are 2 sources of those new companies. One, like let's look to governmental sector, municipality sector. Most of the organizations in Latvia, they are locating in not even C-class office buildings, but the very poor quality premises. And they need to start renting space in newly constructed modern buildings. And second source, new companies. So we need to focus, we need to do at least part of the job what our Lithuanian neighbors did by attracting so many shared service centers to Lithuanian market. And I think there are some organizations already in Latvia, and I see the clear plan how to do it. We just need to support them as much as we can. And yes, and then talking about residential, I don't know, maybe about residential, I will give a word to my colleagues, maybe from Estonia.
We will, that's the next. And I think, I mean, just one, I think there's one critical success factor are skilled labor. If you want to attract these service centers, immediately, if we could offer like 3,000 IT programmers, I think we would in 2 weeks have an investor for that. But there's a lack in Europe, and there's a lots of elements in the chain that need to come together. I think that's talking about these challenges, what role the banks play, Roman, is the real estate sector in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania over or under banked, or in which segments, if you can differentiate a bit, and what role does do the finance aspect play?
Yes, from a bank's perspective, I think the markets are pretty much the same. We are taking all three Baltic countries as one single market. Maybe Latvian market is a little bit different due to historical problems in the last real estate crisis. So I would say Latvian, banks are more conservative on Latvian market. You can see this from the statistics. Average financing yields are roughly 50 pips higher than in Lithuania or Estonia. And
15 or 50?
50. Yes, 50 pips higher than other two countries. And also you can say, the other terms or lending terms are more conservative, like repayment schedules, for example. So yes, markets are a little bit different, but yeah.
What about access to this credit and finance? I can tell you one of my good friends, of course not in your bank, but in another bank of the competition, whose name I will not disclose, but a reputable institution, and he tried to open an escrow account for a real estate transaction. It took him like 4 weeks to open it and to prove the source of the funds, and he showed me the emails back and forth. I think they're I don't know, either these banks have now huge teams to do that, or what are there problems on the legislative side, on the frameworks, or what is how do you view that?
Yes, definitely. Legislative framework has been changed, especially due to events 4 or 5 years ago. And then more information is asked, especially if you are outside from the Baltics. But speaking about the competition, I think the competition is higher in Estonia between banks and also in Lithuania. But in Latvia, there are less competition between banks. Yep.
Cool. Let's go to Estonia. Tönju, can you share a bit from your view, maybe positively, what's the success story? Why I pay now double the square meter in Tallinn than I do in Riga on average? I mean, are you like, how you find the customers for that, and the purchasing power and the financing? What's going on there, and what did Tallinn do different?
As far as I know about, if we compare Tallinn to Riga, I know there are much less development of apartments in Riga. For example, 30% of transactions last year were transactions with new apartments. So development market is very active. Why development market is active? Population of Tallinn is 10% higher than 10-12 years ago. There was less than 400,000 people in Tallinn. Now it's over 440,000. So more demand. Loan terms are very reasonable. I'd say average interest rate is 2.2% of housing loan. Lowest interest rates are 1.7, 1.8%. I know there are countries in Europe where interest rate is much lower, but I'd say it's reasonable. It's the lowest rate in Estonian history of this century. And salaries are increasing. Expectation of salary increase during next few years is 6-7%. During last 10 years, average salary increase was 6% per year, even more than 6%. So buying power is increasing, and it gives opportunity to raise the prices. And today, of course, construction prices are behind any price increase. And buying power, when we compare average price and average salaries, this has been pretty stable during last 5, 6, 7 years. Okay, let's forget 2020 for a moment.
If you talk about interest rates, I mean, you have to compare with the profits you can make. So if we take the multipliers of rental income in residential, for example, multi-story buildings, what is in Tallinn if I come now into the market, be it a fairly new object or secondhand or used, I don't know, 10, 20 apartments, how many years of rent I will have until I recover my investment? What's the indicator there? In Berlin, for example, you are looking into 30 or something years on average. And that development went from 12 or 10 in the last 7 years. Yeah.
Okay, let's put it a little bit other way. If we compare annual rental income to the buying price of apartment, then average is 4.5%, but it's low today. Why it's low? Because sales prices are going up and rental prices has not recovered yet to the level before Corona, but rental prices are going up, and historical average is 5-6%. When we are talking about, let's say, reasonable quality and about new apartments. When we are talking about higher risk properties, low quality, very cheap prices, and then in Tallinn, then rental yield can be higher, but in Tallinn not higher than 10%.
So one famous quote is buy real estate when others want to sell it. Or let's say, do you think now is a good time to invest in Riga because price is so low? Or would you rather invest in Tallinn or in Vilnius?
I definitely invest in Tallinn. Riga is a very nice town, but I don't know property market of Riga so well. Even I have relatives in Riga, but it's I think it's not the worst time to invest. Definitely today is not so good as it was in the beginning of this year when prices were lower. Today prices are 10, maybe 15% even higher than a year ago. it means 7-12% higher than in the beginning of this year. It's not the perfect time to invest, but when we are looking at prognosis of economy, price increase, unemployment rates, so there are opportunities on the market, I'd say. And today's opportunities are not so much as cash flow from rental income, but increase of property value. And it's a risky business, definitely.
And isn't that an indicator for a bubble when, like, the when the rental income is coming more and more decoupled from the financial market value, so to say? But we leave it at that, Tony. I see you nodding. I want to bring Andres into the play. Andres, you have an amazing project in Riga, and the green, you call it Verde, green, and I think you're like right to the top spot, and probably you started a couple of years ago. Would you have, maybe you can tell us a bit about the project, and maybe also answer a bit, like, would you, like, looking now, knowing COVID, knowing these market developments, would you have rather made it smaller, or would you have doubled the investment, or are you thinking it's exactly the right investment you did?
Thank you. Yes, you correctly mentioned that our project is green, and actually we put it into our name, Verde, from French, Spanish, Portuguese means green. So our whole idea is to make this property green, and we clearly understand that it is probably not even the future, but the current requirements for the quality office properties. Talking about this project, we are developing 45,000 square meters divided in 2 stages, and there will be 30,000 of rentable square meters in the project. And first stage is already, probably half of first stage is already built, and we expect to complete first building till the end of this year, and the first building will open doors in the mid of next year. Well, as I mentioned, I am strong believer into green and environment-friendly projects, and also I strongly believe into location. So we took the beginning of Skanste Street in Riga, close to the city center, having that in mind. So I think we bet on that, that this location will work like ignition for that street and even future CBD.
What's the CO2 you save with this compared to a conventional, if you build it not green, but like normal, what your competition do? Is it like 5%, 10%, 20%? Because, I mean, let's face it, one of the biggest source of CO2 emissions is taking place in buildings, heating and cooling, globally. And so it is, I think, the big challenge for the real estate sector or for the construction sector, real estate sector, but also city planning. And I will touch on mobility and in my next question to you, Andres. But first to the CO2 thing, what do you think you could
actually
say?
Our building is so-called NZEB building, near zero energy building. It means that it is very efficient and uses energy sources from the energy from the green sources. So I don't have exact numbers how lower our CO2 will be in that building, but it will be very say environment friendly. Mm-hmm. And also on top of that, it has a BREEAM Excellent standard in construction. So it is we started to implement that standard already during the planning of the building.
Are you happy what you get from the city of Riga as support when it comes to the public transport connection of Skanstes and the whole thing? Because I read you also built a huge underground parking, and of course you can come with electric cars, but knowing the Skanstes area a bit, yeah, there's not yet a real train connection. There's lots of congestion in the morning, in the evening, as I know. I think there's a challenge, no? Is there? Are you happy, or is that just a temporary?
Well, as we are located very central, so there are a lot of connections around. Of course, connections on the main street we are located on the Skanse Street probably can be more possibilities here. But I think city government will adjust to our ideas or requirements in the future. Talking about parking, underground parking, it is well, we calculate one parking place per 70 square meters. So it is quite limited, not so many square meters as it could be a little bit far away from the city center. So already there are some limitations in terms of cars, and what we see, what tendency we observe in Lithuania and probably in Latvia already, that this car sharing, scooter sharing is booming, and people are using that more often, and of course bicycles. Cycling is probably also very important, and our premises will be prepared for that, for parking and also for changing rooms and all infrastructure you would expect in a modern facility.
Yeah, in the meantime, we have now over 80 participants. I welcome also the ones that joined recently. And I invite you to use this opportunity to ask your questions. Either, as I said, in the chat or by person. Please, yeah, be open and frank, and don't be shy in this one. Yeah, if you had coming back a bit to the international perspective on the Baltics. I mean, we've discussed the Estonian projects in Latvia and the Lithuanian in Latvia, but like, how is it? How do you rate actually? Are the Baltics from international perspective overlooked, or is it like okay, or what? Because in some of the other areas we really feel like a little effect that actually the framework and the data is amazing, but it seems to be that because of size or location, some investors just don't look there, and it takes some energy to put the attention there. Dennis, is that something? How do you see, as a partner of an international network of advisors and consultants, how do you view that? And I'm sure you discuss with your colleagues from other locations.
Let's put such a way. Of course, this is most complicated issue for us when we go to Expo Real or MIPIM, and then we present our market. It's no sense to present like each individual country, because Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania are too small for big international players. Then we promote Baltics, because still Baltics, it's like 7 million people. It's like, it's already something bigger, but still the size is the biggest limiting factor often when we talk to bigger international investors. But despite that, it's so much depends on the product as well. Now, each year we see like 2-3 new names entering the region. Then we have second challenge. Sometimes we have nothing for them what to offer, because like it's a quite typical answer could be to you that we are not a huge fund, like we are not looking for big projects. It's like, but anyway, it should start from like, I don't know, 50, 100 million euros. And for Baltic market, this is really huge, and not always we have such products. But of course, if we have more Verdes type of assets in Latvia and in the Baltics, this will attract more attention from international players as well.
Could you have like 2-3 points what to, if you could give advice or wish for the better marketing or the better how would that be done? Because yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fairs, yeah, and I'm happy to also talk about Expo Real in a second, but yeah, it's not easy to who is actually organizing a regional Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania country stand. Yeah, there's if you talk to the city of Tallinn or Riga, they see themselves as competition, yeah, and not as a region. Yeah, they say, what do we have to always Vilnius? Yeah, and if you look on the governmental level, country level, it's not their business, so to say. Yeah, it's like too local, and that's a bit the challenge, and it costs a lot, I think, to create this visibility. Yeah, like Helsinki, every year, big stand, showing the whole city development, including all the projects, and yeah.
Just need to keep trying, and to be honest, for me, it doesn't mean a lot. Is it Vilnius promoting themselves, Riga or Tallinn? Because if Vilnius, for example, will get a big name to Lithuania, it's already a big win for the Baltics, because most likely if they enter Lithuania, they will enter one day Latvia or Estonia. So in the end, I do believe still there is like one common goal. But the arguments are obvious still. Like if we look to the yields, yields are more attractive still in the Baltics comparing to the most CEE countries or Western world. Basically, they can get better returns here. And they can complain, of course, about market liquidity, but from other hand, we see the activity this year, and this will be a record year from investment point of view in the Baltics. Our forecast is that this year it will be approximately like 1.3 billion euros transactions in the Baltics, which will happen. And surprisingly, but Latvia looks like will be the leader among all Baltic countries. It's like close to 600 million euros of money were invested or will be invested until the end of the year in Latvia.
Roman, is there a role for the banks to play? I mean, do you have corporations approaching family offices in Austria because your CEO just came from there? Or what can the banks do to bring in investors? Maybe it should be medium scale almost. I mean, in European terms, you know, because the huge players, one of my friends is in Goldman Sachs, yeah, and he said to me, yeah, we look at assets 500 million plus. And I said, well, sorry, there's not going to be so much assets on the market. But if I see one, I'll call you. Yeah, but so Roman, what about the banks? Can they do something?
Yes, I think that it's positive that we have pan-Baltic banks. I mean that we have contacts in Estonia with the Latvian or Lithuanian colleagues, so we can easily help each other and bring new contacts and deals with our customers. Yeah. So definitely pan-Baltic banks are one of the key things to support the market.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I meant more like a more active approach in selling the location or the countries also, because at the end they will need then financing and so on. And but okay. So maybe that's some food for thought for later. I noticed that you already took the pan-Baltic approach. That's a good yeah, Andreas, is Verde something happening parallel in Tallinn or in Vilnius? What do you see with the green trend? I mean, that's also something with talking about banking. Yeah, now banks are forced to look into their investments, CO2 effect, what they do. So if logically, I think we will see in next 10 years only projects like Verde. Is that something, yeah, how do you view that? Or is that a bit too optimistic? I mean,
Well, in terms of banks, of banking, actually, every bank wants to deal with you once you have cash flow. If cash flow is already in the project, so every bank would like to have a business with you. It's more difficult when you are on a development stage. So you have to look for some alternative financing solutions here, either equity or junior debt or something like that. So this market probably is developing also pretty nicely, but also there are very, very long way to go in that sector as well. Talking about green buildings, well, you know, in terms of investor, I would say that today what we believe is green buildings, because we are thinking about the exit. When we exit or will be ready to exit in 5 or 7 years period of time, we clearly understand there will be green buildings only on demand. If you have something old, energy inefficient, so you will be very unpopular. That's my belief. And I think that I am not very far from truth.
If I may interrupt and play the ball over to Tönnu, if I hear now Andreas and he says in 7 years, it's like we'll change from diesel and benzene to green buildings. And we all know it costs to either then modernize, yeah, I think easy 20% of building value you can put if you want to make it CO2 neutral, or I mean, neutral maybe not possible, but move it up the scale. What impact will that have on the profitability of the whole sector, which is already, like we talk in Germany, elections are now that the people say we cannot afford more rent, because rents are, it's not that the rents don't move any further because the economics are not there, but just the people cannot afford it, and the governments have to somehow manage this. Now, if we put another cost into that.
Of course, there are direct impacts when building is more expensive, then rent should be also higher. What does it mean? It means maybe apartments are smaller, maybe less places for cars under the building, what is very, very expensive. It is difficult, yes, to see what will happen. One thing is what is connected, that when there are 70% of Tallinn population living in their own home, and rental market is approximately 30%. This is my estimation, what is different than official statistics. And then there will be more people on the rental market, because renting something is in short term cheaper than buying something. And people are acting in a short-term perspective. So rental market is growing, is one result of more expensive real estate.
Andreas, would you like to comment on that? Because I took away the word from you. And
I think we should divide our discussion in very clear 2 directions. Either we're talking about retail properties, or we're talking about commercial properties, and these properties behave a little bit differently.
Don't you think there will be mixture in the future more? I think this division of that you work somewhere and that you live somewhere else completely with the mobility concept. And that's also a bit, I think, the idea of Skanstes, if I understand it, yeah, that you have work and living quite integrated into one quarter. So I agree completely from economics. It's different investments, it's different investors, different people, yeah. But there is, and that's what we haven't represented here in the discussion, is the city planning kind of level a bit. But yeah, it's different. So where do you see? I think the industrial buildings will adapt much quicker on CO2 stuff. They're already ahead because they have a smaller, shorter lifespan, and there's one investor and can easily fix that. Yeah. But when it comes to residential, we face all these older properties, and that's the big challenge for how to turn them into greener buildings. Yeah, if you look at Riga city center, it's quite it's 100 years old buildings. Yeah, and then a bit Soviet heritage, which is another. On going to the outskirts, which is another big challenge, yeah, to make them. Yeah, how do you? Let's focus on the residential part for a second. How do you view that challenge, the green challenge in the residential sector in the Baltics? How could that, is Verde a kind of pioneer leading the way, or is actually something else needed? Arthur, I'm sure you've thought about it. I know Verde is not the renovation project. It's a new project.
Yeah, Verde is a commercial real estate. It's dedicated for the offices only. But what we clearly understand, that what we clearly see, and that there will be more new residential developments close to Skanste or close to Verde. We already know that there are some projects almost prepared or which are about to begin, and these will be also efficient buildings and green, if we could put in that way. And people will be living in the city center, and they'll be in the walking distance from the place they are working. And actually, it's probably already happening in Vilnius, and there are a lot of residential developments close to city center. And I think the same will happen here in Riga.
Well, let's turn to our audience. I think I have to push a bit more for questions here, because our audience very quiet, very shy, I have to say. Nobody? Okay. Then that's also okay. It means probably they're happy with our conversation, how it goes. I want to touch shortly about the big infrastructure project Rail Baltica. Do you think it will have an impact on the real estate markets in the Baltics? Yes or no, Dennis? What do you think? But it's connecting all the three city centers. Maybe Pärnu might be one that is benefiting the most, or Kaunas, but Kaunas already a boom town, I would say, industrial wise. What's your take on that?
Okay, but no, well, let's put it such way. I think this is the biggest infrastructural project what Baltic countries have seen so far. And definitely it should be some kind of effect. And I do believe the city centers, again, if we take Riga, for example, the city center and the train station, like in 5-10 years, will look totally different as that it's looking right now. And if this project will raise people's interest, maybe to use trains more as well, then of course this will be positive. And my feeling is that the prices of real estate in that areas logically should increase. It's difficult maybe to comment about other locations, how it will influence, but at least Riga city center, this will have positive impact for sure. I don't know, have you seen all those pictures? It looks amazing. Like if they will do the project like they're planning right now, it will be a very positive effect.
And yeah, Tonu, you want to comment on this from Tallinn perspective?
Definitely, I agree with Dennis. It gives positive value, but it's maybe very difficult to measure today or give some kind of number. What is how big the impact will be, and in Estonia, we have seen when there were new trains, new modern trains, then people just drove with a train to somewhere just because it was fun and it was convenient. Definitely, Rail Baltic connects Tallinn, Pärnu, other stops between Tallinn and Pärnu, Riga, Vilnius, Kaunas, ties cities more together, and it can only have positive impact to property values and market activity.
And what about the harbor in Zaha Hadid's amazing thing? But yeah, can you elaborate a bit on that and what's happening there with this former Congress or event center?
Maybe everybody doesn't know, but Tallinn Harbor has a big area in the city center where they are planning development of offices, residential area. It will be cool, but it's in the first phase, in the planning phase yet. Let's see what will be in real life. My expectations are very high. But what about Congress Center, Tallinna Linnahall, Tallinn Town Hall, or how to translate it into English? Well, in my opinion, it's a very nice building, but we should demolish it and use the location, how to say, not for this building. It's it's Soviet time, very bad construction quality, lots of very big costs to renovate or change it anyway. It hasn't been how to maintain during last 20 years, so it's very costly project to keep the building. And architect had said it can be demolished, but what city and politicians are deciding, this might be different thing.
Yeah. Okay. I have one last question to all four of you. Unfortunately, time almost over. And you know, you have to put your money where your heart is, or talk the talk and walk the walk. So if I put two investments in front of you, I want to know where you would invest it. One is 300,000 euros in a residential flat, apartment, whatever, and the other one is 10 million as a project. We'll start with Roman, because the bank. Yeah, you personally, where would you put it in the Baltics if you play like Monopoly? Yeah, and where do you think would be most beneficial in a let's take a 5-year perspective?
Oh yeah, let's start with 10 million. Because I know Tallinn the most, I will put it into Tallinn, into, of course, commercial real estate, because residential is too For residential, it's too big the money, but probably some property in the center or CBD area with into new modern facility with many tenants.
Okay, with a AAA location, AAA everything, and fully project, or
yeah.
Okay.
And 300,000 I will put into maybe land in suburbs of Tallinn.
Andreas, what would you do? Verde too? Or?
Actually, well, I pretty much do the same what I believe in. So I'm the great fan of Riga. I love that city, and I think that Riga will catch up Vilnius and Tallinn in the nearest future. Actually, maybe we can also here see like a time machine. In Tallinn and in Vilnius, there are something already happened, and I think in Riga it will happen in the future. So 10 million something in commercial real estate in Riga. Of course, I would be looking for some CBD close to the city center, and the same the 300 to the residential projects in Riga as well. City center as well.
Yeah, and okay, I think I got the idea. Dennis, what will you share your secret?
I would stay very patriotic, and I would definitely 300,000 euros would invest in Latvia. Should it be like apartment, and then with the hope that maybe prices will rise, or maybe it will be something on the countryside, because of what COVID showed, that the demand for like houses or like small land plots in beautiful places in Latvia increased significantly. And somehow I tend to believe that this demand will stay active at least for next 2-3 years. And 10 million euros, I don't know, it's like from one hand you can buy like 1-2 buildings, but from diversification point of view, I would maybe better invest this money into one of the funds, and maybe capitality would be a good choice. So and then possibly they can invest the fund money in more properties.
Portfolio strategy, spread the risk, but the funds they should invest in all 3 Baltics, or you stay national patriotic?
No, it's like if the fund is investing on the Baltic scale, then I support this idea, because this is risk diversification as well, of course.
Okay, but like London, France, Germany, no, that's not.
I don't believe with 10 million euros in London commercial real estate, it's not a lot to do.
Okay, true. Turn you.
Okay, it's clearly we can see that real estate business is local. So, but when we are talking about 10 millions, I think that real estate fund, for example, Eften is a pretty good choice. I like to say that shareholders of Eften are in love with Eften. They don't like to sell shares, they only buy. And that's why share price is going only up only. But why not think about development, residential development? Why residential? I know about residential market. At least I think I know something. And when we are talking about 300,000, and then why not to buy apartment and rent it out, but not in the Tallinn city center, but very close to city center, next to city center. I think it can be good idea to expect a return from capital gain and rental income.
Amazing, yeah. It's location. And
one more remark. I said one word answer that yes, there is boom, but still, it's not the first time to invest in Tallinn residential market.
I understood that. Yeah, so we are almost at the end, and I want to invite you all to on the 11th till the 13th of October Munich, to real estate, to Expo Real. It is the largest real estate fair in Europe. MIPIM follows on the second place. It is representing the full value chain there, and it's really absolutely place to be if you want to have an overview of what's happening in the market in whole Europe. You can go there without quarantine. You have an exemption, which we organized through the German government. And all what you need to do is to buy the tickets, and you can do that with us or online. I also want to welcome, we have 3 exhibitors from the Baltics, and that's Estate Guru OÜ, Hanse Digital Access OÜ, and Modern Solutions OÜ, all from Estonia. And they're gonna go and represent Estonia and digitalization, I think, in a great way, but also the Baltics as a business. And if you want to exhibit there, we are representing Expo Real in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, with the exclusive representatives there. We organize your exhibition there, and there's lots of forums where we can also in the future, if there is need, organize conferences or such. Please talk to us, contact us, and yeah, we can make our contribution to make more interest towards the Baltics. I want to thank my 4 panelists. You've been excellent. You really cope with all these questions, and I think we covered a lot of ground. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see you in real life. And usually Expo Real is connected with Oktoberfest. Usually it's like this, the last days of Oktoberfest, and then the Expo Real starts. We bring Oktoberfest to the Baltics, and next year, I promise, in Tallinn, Riga, and Vilnius, it's already the 5th time, but we make it a bit bigger because we all need to meet and have a beer together after all this isolation. And would be great. And I invite my panelists. You'll get a ticket from me, but we need to come everyone from the office. And I want to close with a sentence: don't wait to buy real estate, but buy real estate and wait. So that's the most important thing, I think. I wish us all success in this and an amazing rest of the week. And thanks for your participation. And yeah, see you in Expo Real or next year in Oktoberfest in Riga, Tallinn, or Vilnius. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Goodbye. Have a nice day together. Bye.
Ciao.